lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head.
A million dreams are keeping me
A million dreams, a million dreams. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
for the world we're gonna make.
I'll be looking back on this and I'll say, I'm so happy that you said you would stay. There were times I know that I was crazy, fraying at the edges and you saved me. I'm losing count of chances that you gave me. You're laughing at me dancing really badly, and telling me the reasons why you'd gladly do it all again. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Well, hey, words can never adequately convey everything you're giving to me today. But holding you is better than a holiday, and leaving you I dread it like exam day. So at the risk of sounding kinda risque, everything to now has been the foreplay. Darling, I would follow you to Norway, or anywhere you want it. Cause I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. Oh, I'm not bad myself, but you're amazing. You're amazing. One day, when we're getting wrinkly and our hair's grey, a rusty old banger in the driveway, one of us will maybe wear a toupee, but I will be in love with you.
Hello! Hello everybody! Hello everybody on the back end. preparing as speakers to be live in just a minute. And hello, everybody who is watching live right now. I saw already some amazing chats in the channel. Welcome, everybody. It's beautiful that you're already playing full out. And let's practice that channel for everybody who created a working way to work with it. Where are you tuning in from right now? Because this is the Transformational Speaking Academy graduation with speakers all over the world. But let's see the power of what a stage really does and show in the chat where you are tuning in from right now. I see hello from Amsterdam. The Netherlands is represented. What else? What else do we have? We've got, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Solihul from England, the UK present as well, Germany, West Palm Beach, California. Oh my goody badooties. People all over the world are tuning in right now to experience the transformation that's about to happen. And that word transformation, I really pick with purpose. Because this is not just a speaking event where you're going to listen to some amazing speakers. This is a moment in time where you're going to witness transformation, not just by writing down notes upon what people are saying and what you're going to learn about financial strategies, about living healthy, about leaning into your purpose, about all the topics that we're going to cover today. What this moment represents as well is that these speakers have been working really hard on figuring out what their message really is and building the speaking muscle, as we call it in this community, to feel comfortable to share it with you. So I just want you to know that you're in a very special place and that your presence and that your active presence in the chat really does make a difference. And there's 3 ways that you're going to experience most out of this. So before I'm going to announce the first speaker who's so excited to share his story with you, I do want to share these 3 ways for you to get most out of this. And instead of activities, I rather give you questions, because questions will lead to your own answer and will never make you dependent on something. The first question that I would love for you to write down is how? How can you make this experience easy for yourself? How can you make this experience easy for yourself? What about taking notes while you're listening? So you don't need to re-listen to it if you don't have time for that, but you immediately have your action steps on a piece of paper so you're able to implement the knowledge that you're learning right away. And what if you create 2 rows on your empty sheet of paper? On one side, the notes that you take from the speaker of the knowledge that you're learning, but on the other side, a place where you're writing down how they're speaking. To not just learn from the content, but also learn from the way they're speaking. How are they opening? How do they create engagement? How do they close? What kind of stories do they share? And what can you learn from that? How can you make it as easy as possible? Second question, how? How can you make it as fun as possible? Because public speaking, some people say, is the #1 fear of humankind. But what if it could be fun? What if this whole experience could be fun? What if this experience could be fun by over leveraging in the chat? By when someone says, say yes, you're like, yes, and you're the first one to create this illusion competition that I personally always do. I always create competitions in my mind's eye and I always want to win it, even though I made it up myself. Whatever is fun to you, do it. Enjoy yourself throughout this time that we spend together. And last but not least, how can you make this as impactful as possible? And maybe that's literally to share the link of the live stream right now with a friend so you're able to talk about it afterwards. Or to look at the person who's speaking, find out what their Instagram handle is, and send them a message afterwards to connect. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? With that said, I'm already talking for what? Couple of minutes, and I have the privilege to be able to see the speakers in the back end, and they're looking at me. Lori, I know these 3 questions. You've repeated that over and over again the 8 weeks we spent together. Let's just get this over with. I want to speak. So is it okay if I'm going to introduce the first speaker of today who's ready to share a transformational story that comes totally from his true feeling of the heart? Because the person that I'm talking about is not just an amazing man. He's a missionary and a transformational speaker. He's a relief project coordinator with Mercy Works, and he led teams of all areas affected by war, by famine, by natural disasters. And Uganda and Sri Lanka were the countries that really, really stole his heart. And now he's on a mission to bring joy, to bring hope, to bring encouragement to the ones who need it most, who lost everything. And he's so passionate of seeing people transform and walking in the freedom of their true God-given identity and purpose. So kids all over the world are drawn to his presence, and he sees beyond the surface. He recognizes the person behind the person, the real individual. This man is a man who really, really, really cares. And I'm really stoked for all of you to experience the transformation that Jay is going to bring to all of us. Jay, the floor is yours.
Wow, thank you, Lori, for that introduction. I'm so glad to be here. Congratulations, fellow graduates. You said yes and stepped out into this venture to become a transformational speaker, to use your own personal stories to bring change and transformation to people. And I just want to encourage you and say that there is power in your yes. That when you show up as yourself, it creates an opportunity for multiplication and expansion. And in that, there exists a grace and favor to make that possible. So maybe you've come here as and either throughout this process or even now, you're asking a question, is what I have really enough? Is that really enough to bring about change and transformation? Will showing up as my true self really bring the impact I need? And I would love to answer those questions by sharing a personal story about one day in Pakwak, Uganda, where I just finished a missions trip several weeks ago. But before I begin, is it okay? Is it okay if I share this story as I experienced it? And I deliver to you the message that I delivered to them. Is that okay? And if so, just say yes or write that in the chat. And as for you, how many of you have ever gone to a 3D movie? You walk in, you get those funny glasses with the different colors, and you put them on and you go in and watch the movie, and it enhances the experience of the movie. And so for this period of time, would you be willing to put on a pair of 3D glasses and be part of the audience of Pakwak, Uganda, as I share these stories? And if so, just say yes. If so, say yes. Okay, so I was part of a team. We were going to Pakwak, Uganda, in order to teach people how to make disciples and how to be disciples, to how to share their story and how to share God's story. And so it began with, I got to speak a message Sunday morning in the church to kick off the week. And here's how it went. So just thank you, everybody, for coming, for saying yes to coming to this training. And what I want to start with today is a story that many of you may know. It's a famous story. And it's a story about how Jesus took 5 pieces of bread and 2 loaves of fish, and he multiplied it and fed a multitude of people who were in need and hungry. Sorry about this. But I don't want to focus on the miracle today. What I want to focus on is the little boy who showed up that day to hear Jesus and said yes to giving Jesus his little lunch. Now, it might seem like it's a little bit, but to him it was everything. I mean, even the disciple says, how can so little go to meet such a great need? Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that, is the little I have, is it sufficient enough? There's the resources I have sufficient enough to meet the multitude of need that's in front of me. And so it reminded me of a story of when I went to Southern Sudan. And we went to Southern Sudan because we had done a drive where children and parents made these little shoe boxes. These little shoe boxes for like a girl age 6 or a boy age 8. And in that box, they would have coloring books, pencils, flip-flops, a t-shirt, just little things. And I remember as I was going to Southern Sudan thinking, can these little shoe boxes really make a difference? Now, I know, like the one starfish that gets thrown in the ocean, it's going to make a difference to the child that receives it, but can it really impact and change a community? So we get there, and this place, I mean, it is remote. It is harsh. It's 100 degrees in the shade if you can find a tree. Drinking water is like drinking tea, but without the tea. There's no electricity. There's no running water. There's no roads. There's no vehicles, just like flies and heat. And we got there and we passed out these eye care packs. And at the end, we were meeting with the leaders underneath this tree. And they said, oh my, thank you for the things you brought. But what we really need is food. Locusts ate our last harvest, and we won't have another one for 5 months. So what do? This was before cell phones, but luckily we did have a satellite phone. And I called back to our base in Texas and told them the story. And our leader, she ended up calling this man who's in Kenya. And he has dedicated his life to helping the people of Southern Sudan. And he works at, oversees this UN facility up in Kenya. Anyway, he arranged for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 cargo planes full of supplies going back and forth. And 30,000 tons of food and supplies, rice, beans, mosquito nets, pots, everything that they were going to need in order to be sustained for 5 months. And so our little team, we came with our little snack, and God turned it into a feast. And if you look at it, if you look at all the yeses that led to that, yes to the boys and girls who made those little eye care packs, who had no idea that that little shoebox they made was going to help to sustain a whole community for 5 months. Yes to our team for going to deliver those eye care packs. Showing up, being on the ground so that we could see what the need was and then respond to it. The yes of that man to dedicate his life to helping the people of South Sudan. The yes to the pilot who went and flew back and forth to bring these plain olds here. And so you may be wondering, so Jay, why am I listening to this story of South Sudan? I thought you were talking about your trip to Uganda. But isn't it all of us? Haven't we all experienced this? Hasn't there been a time in your life when you've said yes and you brought whatever little resources you thought you had? Is there a time that you've showed up, and then in showing up, like Luke and Lori's story yesterday, how just showing up led to an opportunity for expansion? And so, yeah, I'll pause for a second. So now back to the story. So I shared this with the Ugandans. And at the end of the Sudan story, I said, so what about you? And what about you this week? What will God do with your yes this week? How will it be multiplied? How will your yes be used to meet the multitude of needs that are around you? And will you say yes? And as I say yes this week, and as you say yes this week, when those yeses come together, what could be the result? And will you say yes this week? And all of them just started saying yes, yes, ayo, ayo, ayo. It became the theme of the week. Ayo is the yes in Ugandan. And so that became the theme of the week. And so the very first day of training, we trained the Ugandans, and we went out into the community with them. And we came across a group of ladies. And we had taught the Ugandans how to share their story. And as they shared their story, they invited, do you have a story like that? And then we listened to these ladies' stories. And these stories, they were similar, but they were different. But the main theme was these women married young. They had children with the man they married. He left to start a family with another woman, okay, because there polygamy is like rampant. Like there you have homesteads where you have little huts with a mom with several kids, and they're in the same homestead to this one man, and he's not helping at all. And any money he gets, he's like spending on alcohol. And so here are these desperate women. And they're looking to us and they're just saying, we just want our husbands to, to help us and take care of the kids. And they were just helpless and hopeless. And it was just so grievous to me. And I got back to the church that day, and there was a pastor, and I said, Pastor, you've got to do something about these women. You can't just invite them to come to your church. You have to go to them. You have to go and do something there. And I was just all riled up. And the next morning, and this is the one day in Pakwatch, that I went from devastation to dancing. And so I woke up that morning, and I was feeling so inadequate, so helpless, so hopeless, so like, oh my gosh, like, how can what little I have, how is that going to address this issue of polygamy? And it was just brutal. I called my wife back in Texas and told her, and she prayed for me. My team prayed for me. And it's interesting because on the way to the church where we're going to do the training that day, I heard this little voice inside saying, you sound a lot like the disciples did in that story you just told on Sunday. When your own words come back to haunt you. And I was being like the disciples, saying, how can so little resources meet this such a great multitude of need? So we did the training that morning. And at the end of the morning, I went and I sat next to this woman, Prudence. And I just felt in me to just speak into her life. And I just said, Prudence, I see a gift of leadership in you. I see an anointing for authority and influence, and you are going to be used to help many, many women. I said, Prudence, like, what do you want? And as she paused, she said, oh my gosh, you spoke my heart. I have a heart for women's ministry. And then she shared her story with me. And oh my goodness, it was just as impactful, very similar, even some more harsh details than the stories I just heard the night before. And I said, Prudence, that's it. You're the answer to my cry. You're the answer to what I've been feeling. I said, you need to be on my team today, and you need to share this story with these women, because she wasn't on my team yesterday. And so as we're breaking up to go into the community, the pastor decides he's going to tweak the teams a little bit. And he took one person off my team and gave me Prudence. And I was like, yes. So that day, Prudence had started sharing. We had showed her how to share the gospel using this bridge technique. Anyway, she shared it, and she's looking at the women, and she's wanting them to respond, and they're just not. And I whispered, Prudence, share your story, and then ask him again. And she shared her story, and these women were like fixed on her and riveted. And at the end of that story, these 6 women got on their knees and they received God. And as I was praying at the conclusion, I just started speaking that this land that was desolate was going to become like the Garden of Eden. And that the many women were going to come to this place and receive hope and healing and restoration. And it was going to start with these 6 women. And these women were like, yes, ew. And these women went from this place of hopelessness to helplessness to a place of purpose and meaning and hope. And at the end of this, we had gotten back to the church to meet up with the other team. And as they started sharing the stories, they just erupted into spontaneous singing and dancing. And we were in a line going around, in the church, just singing and dancing and celebrating what God had done. And so that day, from desperation and devastation to dancing. And so, and then at the end, we went there 2 more days, and I kind of consecrated Prudence as their leader. And she had contacted me, and in 2 weeks, the group has grown from 6 to 22. And so it's already multiplying. And so what about you? Will you say yes with the little resources you have? Will you show up as your true, authentic self? And will you trust that grace and favor are there to multiply? So my movie is coming to a close. And so you can return your glasses to the bin or not. Like, what if? What if you kept these 3D glasses on And what these 3D glasses, this change of perspective from this story, turn into a 5D. Like, who knows where it could go. And who knows if in looking through this new perspective, you recognize, or see that the greatest yes you can give is saying yes to God. That your greatest showing up is showing up as the person he's created and redeemed you to be. And the greatest trust is to trust him as the source of the grace and favor to multiply. So as you leave this little theater, I leave that choice to you. Thank you.
Amazing, Jay. Well done. How was this to express from your heart to everybody else's? And before you even say that, the answer to that, I just want to share with everybody that Jay is very, very passionate about his message, and that we had so many conversations about how do you want to phrase it, because you don't want to come across a certain way. And I feel that you shared it from your truth, which is so powerful. So Jay, how was this for you?
It was very good. I couldn't practice. Every time I tried to practice, I couldn't even start. And so just being and having to do it, I think was good. It was also different, not seeing an audience and feeding off of that and seeing responses, and so that was a challenge. But I feel really good. I feel good, and I feel like all the questions I was having, about, am I going to speak to the audience in the future? Am I going to speak to the present audience? And was there a way? And I think I found a way to speak my message, but apply it to this audience. That was my attempt, and I think it went well.
Let's go. Give it up one more time for Jay, and put some beautiful words in the chat, because that is exactly what this is about. This is about every single one of the speakers speaking from their truth to an audience and resonating with the audience that needs to resonate with your message, but never delude your heart with what feels true to you. And at the same time, always having that flexibility to adapt to whom you're speaking to. So that's absolutely beautiful. And that's just the beginning of today, because the person that I'm going to announce right now is a woman. And this woman, I keep sharing this joke. I'm so sorry, but I actually won't tell her her age. She might do it herself, and otherwise we're going to reflect on this after. But this is an absolute powerhouse. Because do you know how life is a funny way of throwing new chapters at us? The ones nobody really prepares us for? The changes in our health, the shifting roles, and the big transitions that make us stop and wonder what's next. Well, today's speaker, Carolyn, is someone who's made it her mission to guide women through exactly that. She's not here to talk at you, but to walk alongside you. Navigating age, navigating expectations, and the twists and the turns of life. All with more energy, with more joy, and not just with more years, but more years that you feel alive. Now, this woman has incredible programs. She has a life-changing, forever young formula. And today, she's sharing with you how you can be that next level version. The person that I'm so stoked to announce to all of you is Carolyn. Carolyn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lori. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for being here and supporting all of us that are speaking today. Are you a grape or a raisin? And can we agree that we're all aging? So let me tell you about my best friend, who is so adorable and has so many friends herself, that when I was going to Mastermind Launch Lab last spring, There were so many people that offered to care for her that I just created a lottery. Seriously, a lottery. It was amazing. And all the money went to a humane shelter. And it was so profound for me. My best friend, Pippi, is 70 in doggy years. And it pains me to think about it. But I have made a priority every day to make choices to keep both of us healthy as possible. You also have choices. What will you feel about yourself when you're 70? Let's take a moment and imagine that. So close your eyes and take a breath. You are now time traveling into your future. You stop when you are 70. What are you doing? Where are you? Who's with you? What happened to your dreams? And what are your regrets? And how do you feel at 70? A grape or a raisin? I'm Carolyn, but I'm not 70. But I'm probably closer to it than you think. I'm 78. So picture this. I'm standing in front of my mirror, staring at my reflection, and it hits me like a ton of bricks. The person looking back at me feels like a stranger. It was a moment, and maybe, just maybe, you felt it too. Have you ever looked at yourself and wondered, what happened? Well, what happened to me at that moment is that I decided to change. I had spent years struggling with my weight, my confidence, and I even had an eating disorder in the past. I felt defeated, stuck, and that my best years were behind me. But that day, I decided. But that day, I also decided. And that day, I made a decision to change everything. I decided that I was not ready to give up on my health, my joy, or my future to aging. I decided that I wanted more. Let's imagine for a moment. Imagine more health in every moment. Imagine more joy in every day. Imagine what would it feel like to have more life in every heartbeat. And imagine, just imagine, more years filled with love and laughter. I wanted more. So I found mentors, read every book I could find, and researched so many ideas. It wasn't easy, and there were many, many setbacks. And in the process, I discovered my mindset, my body, and my life. People often ask me how I became my Forever Young. And actually, I was struggling this for the last 8 weeks about a story. And actually, I didn't come up with this until yesterday. I went, this was so obvious, and I never thought about it. So here it goes. After dental school, I was offered one of two positions to become a specialist in periodontics. I had wanted this for so many years. I had worked for it, fought for it. And here it was. I got it. But I also had an offer to go to practice dentistry in Aspen. And that decision that changed my life forever was to move to Aspen. I remember that first weekend. I was so excited. I didn't know anybody, and I got invited to go on a hike. Now, back then, hike was a 4-letter word, bike, trek, they're all 4-letter words. And I asked them where we were going and how long. And they said, oh, we're going to American Lake. Wow, that sounds pretty easy. It could have been Summit Lake or Frozen Lake, but it was American Lake. And they said it was 2 miles. I thought, I can do that. That's easy enough, right? Okay, I can do this. So I tied up my red Ked sneakers. And I got some looks when I did that. And hours into the hike, oh my God, I realized that I had been teleported into a whole different world. Everyone in that little town was so healthy and fit, and they lived life to its fullest every single day. Remember that story the last time I spoke about skiing with the boys in Aspen? Well, there's another part of the story that I didn't tell. It's about Darcy Brown. He owned Tyhack, another mountain between Aspen Mountain and Snowmass. It was really hard, and only the young, really hot skiers could. It had a cant. It was really hard. Darcy was 99 and had macular degeneration. He always followed behind me when we skied with the boys because I was slower and I made wider turns. And he listened to my skis on the snow, and he knew when I started each turn. Do you know there's sound to the snow when you start your turn, when you end your turn, and when you're gliding in between? There's a sound. My doubles tennis partner, Art, was also 88. He played tennis every day. And I got to celebrate his 100th birthday, of course, on the courts, playing doubles. The interesting thing is that these were not anomalies. They were everyday choices and everyday people in that town. This is where I learned what is truly possible. It was the most powerful, memorable mindset shift of my entire life. So I had to hang up those red Keds, get with the program, or get left behind. They waited for no one. Remember that the decision you make today shapes the person you become tomorrow. Are you ready to step into your forever young? If your answer is yes, then take that first step to change today. Don't wait. Your future you is counting on you to make that decision. And maybe, just maybe, every time you see a grape, or maybe a raisin, you will remember our time together today. So let's do this. Be a grape, not a raisin. I bow to you, Lori.
Nice, Carolyn. You did it. How does that feel right now for you?
It feels great because I changed half of it last night, which was created so much stress for me. But I decided I was going to do it because it was the right thing to do.
There you go. Being flexible and adaptive, and being the brave one who's willing to say, you know what? I am going to lean into this path. Well done, Carolyn.
Yes,
Well
ma'am.
done.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for everything.
Amazing. You guys, when you're watching, I would love for you to open up to the realization, or not realization, the openness that speaking represents so much. Speaking represents standing up for who you are. Speaking represents I'm on a stage and I'm willing to share what's deepest and darkest on my heart. I'm willing to share my passions and my visions, right? This represents being seen in all areas of life, which is really, really scary for a lot of people because it goes right against our human nature, which is to fit into a tribe, to survive together. So please put some love in the chat for Carolyn. I love it. Awesome, Carolyn. Love it. Such an amazing speech. Nice job. I'm ready to take the next step to be great for life. There we go. Amazing, Linda. Absolutely incredible. And we are just getting started. We are just getting started because the man who's going to share his heart on this stage is a really, really, really beautiful man. This man is Blake. And Blake is internationally recognized coach specializing in helping young adults with autism and their parents navigating the path to independence. And he's the creator of Independence Launch Program. And Blake has empowered families across the globe with proven strategies that build trust, that reduce resistance, and support long-term success. And besides that, he created all of that. He also is a proud parent of 4 neurodivergent young adults, of whom all have achieved independence. So Blake combines his professional expertise, but also his personal expertise. Not just having 4 amazing children with neurodiversity, but also living with autism. Blake deeply, deeply understands that the challenges faced by those on the spectrum and their families, and he's offering compassion and actionable solutions. And I'm really, really excited for you to experience that compassion because that's what I believe he really is, like as a person. It's not a behavior. And his work has been celebrated globally, with one client recently featured in Tony Robbins' Time to Rise Summit that was featured to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And currently, Blake is completing a book to empower parents with proven strategies for helping their children transition into successful, independent lives, as well as building a program for parents. You guys, I am so stoked for you to listen to what Blake has to share with all of us. Blake, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lori. So have you ever spoken to somebody or tried to communicate with somebody who spoke a different language? My wife, she uses Facebook Marketplace to sell things. And recently she posted some kind of old truck bed cover we had to sell. And the gentleman that showed up to the house, he only spoke Spanish and my wife only speaks English. So I kind of stood back to watch how this conversation was going to unfold. And when my wife started speaking and he wasn't understanding her, she started getting louder. And when that didn't work, she started speaking slower. Well, today we're going to be talking about speaking a different language, but it's not Spanish, it's not French, it's not even Dutch. It's divergent. And for some of you, you may not know what divergent is. So let me explain. 80% of the world, their brains are all wired very similarly, and we refer to these individuals as neurotypicals. The remaining 20%, their brains are wired completely different, and we refer to these individuals as neurodivergent or divergent. And so today I'm going to teach you a very simple framework on how to communicate with divergence. But before I do, I want to share some examples of how many times they are often misunderstood in this world because of the language barrier. So I want you to picture this. I want you to imagine that you're at the grocery store and you're in the checkout line and you're getting ready to put your groceries on the conveyor belt. And behind you, you hear this kid just start screaming at the top of his lungs. And you look back and this kid is having a meltdown. It's like a 2 or 3 year old and he's throwing a temper tantrum. What would you think? Put that in the chat right now. I would just be curious what you think about that. I know many parents, what they would do is they would say, I would grab that kid by his arm and escort them right into the bathroom, because we know the grocery store bathrooms is where all the world problems are solved, right? Well, what if I were to tell you that when they got in line, that the lights above where they were checking out were way too loud? And I did say lights and loud. They were making a sound that was, for that young boy, was like somebody screaming in his ear. Or the shirt that their parents put on that day for that young boy was like sandpaper rubbing against his skin and rubbing it raw. Or when they got close to the checkout, all these people started conversing into one area, and it felt so tight, like the young kid was getting really squeezed to death and suffocating. See, many neurodivergents, we experience life completely different. Now, let's take you to a different example. Let's imagine that you're at a funeral and it's a loved one that passed away, and you're sitting there thinking and celebrating that loved one, and a tear is rolling down your cheek. And then all of a sudden, you hear a 13-year-old girl behind you giggling, and you look back and you can tell she's just kind of rocking, and it looks like she's having a party, and it's a funeral. What would you do? Many people have told me they would turn around and scold the girl, or they would wait till after the service and they would talk to the parents and really scold the parents. But what if I were to tell you that young girl, she was feeling the same amount of heartache, maybe even more than you, and that because of how her brain is wired, the only way she could deal with it is by stimming, which was the rocking motion, and the giggling was to get that emotion out of her. Would you then approach that situation differently? And finally, let's just say you're in a company meeting and the manager says, hey, I think we really need to get a report done soon, maybe by the end of the week. And then they excuse the meeting and you go on, and the neurodivergent basically gets there and they go on doing their weekly activities, and that Friday sneaks up and the manager's asking for the report, and that neurodivergent just started working on the report. And so the manager is now referring to that neurodivergent as somebody that's untrustworthy, unreliable. But see, that neurodivergent heard soon, they heard maybe. There was nothing concrete. Many neurotypical brains don't think like this, but many neurodivergents, they need that concrete element. They need that deadline. They need that clarity. And so it would have been better if the manager would have said 3 p.m. on a Friday. And so I want to give you a simple framework on how to communicate with neurodivergence. And I really want you to hear this. So I'm going to use HEAR as an acronym. The H stands for hold judgment, means don't assume. The E stands for explore with curiosity. The A, ask questions. And then the R is reframe your approach once you get the answers. Now, I am a massive believer that if we learn something new, we got to put it into practice. So I'm going to give you one more story. Think about a 17-year-old kid. Now, think about this 17-year-old kid sneaking out at night and sneaking into the local hospital morgue and performing autopsies on these bodies. And what he would do is he would cut open the bodies, he would pick out the organs and hold them in his bare hands. He would measure them. He would kind of script them out. He would peel back the skin to look at the muscle fibers, stretch the tendons to see what they did. What would you do? Now, if we're going from the HERE framework that we just learned, we know that this young man is not going to have handcuffs on him, and he's not going to be put in a straitjacket. Because what we're going to do is we're going to hold that judgment, and we're going to explore with curiosity of why this young man is doing this. And then if we ask him questions like, what's his fascination about going into the morgue and doing these autopsies, what we would probably get back is he's not doing it for any kind of vandalization aspect. He's not even doing it for science. He's actually doing it for art. He wants to learn the body inside and out. And so since he's not put in handcuffs or in a straitjacket, guess what he's done? He has gone on to make some of the world's most incredible masterpieces. And there's one that I want to talk to you about. And this is a sculpture. It's a statue that was made anatomically correct. It was showing tension on a guy's face with the vein popping out in the back of his neck. It had the muscle definition. It had the veins and tendons running in his hands. And that statue is one of the most famous in the world. And you know it as David. And now you know the rest of the story. That young man, that boy, is Michelangelo. So why this matters is because many neurodivergents are misunderstood. And when they're misunderstood, they're mistreated. And when they're mistreated, what they do is they fall back. Their flame starts to dwindle. And so if you will follow this framework, this HERE framework, what you'll do is you'll actually build a connection with these individuals. You'll instill trust. You'll instill confidence. And by doing that, not only will you potentially change their life, but you'll potentially change the world. So think about how the world would be if there was no Albert Einstein, no Thomas Edison, Elon Musk, Richard Branson. Think about how the world would be with no Michael Jordan, Simone Biles. How about Justin Timberlake, or even Tom Cruise, or maybe Jerry Seinfeld? The world would be a little less colorful, a little less dull. And so I really want you to remember this. 1 in 5 people that you meet are neurodivergent. That could be a friend. That could be a spouse. That could be a coworker. That could be an employee. That could be a client. That could be your child. And so learning neurodivergence isn't about mastering a new language. It's really about listening with new ears and your heart. Thank you.
Wow. Blake, how did that feel for you?
It was extraordinary. And one thing I did is listening to speakers talk, listening to the Les Browns of the world and all these great speakers, is I chose not to compare myself to anybody. I chose to really focus on who I was yesterday and just really try to have as much fun with this as possible. And so it was fun.
What?
I know. I know.
Dude,
That's
you
crazy.
absolutely crushed it. Look at the comments. You guys, put more in the comments for Blake. Did you feel what I said before, that compassion is not a behavior, as is who he is? Did you just feel the sincerity of what he was sharing and the competence you feel the competence in what he does. Nice job. Absolutely amazing, authentic, and inspiring. What a beautiful lesson. Thank you for sharing, Blake. Right? The power, the framework here, look. The framework should be used for everybody because some people do not realize they are neurodivergent.
True.
Right? So, oh man, so well done. So well done. Thank you for stepping up and doing this, Blake, because you're helping so many already, and I'm so stoked for you to let this unfold even more. You absolutely crushed it.
Thank you.
Let's go. Isn't it fun that always the lineup is very diverse? There's different energy, there's different presence, there's different topics. And the topic that you're going to listen to now is a completely different one again, with a completely different energy. And that's the beauty of everybody owning their voice, because that's what makes this world a beautiful place, when we appreciate each other's uniquenesses. And this woman, she is unique. I mean, she's an American who grew up in Peru, living not only in the Amazon rainforest, but also through a time of terrorism. And those experiences really forged her into be a fearless reporter. And back in the United States, Mari, adventurous spirit, continued to drive her work. And until now, she's taken on projects with the Department of Justice, protecting children from online predators, from working alongside the FBI in undercover operations. Seriously, like, this woman has done it all. And her company is known for high impact corporate projects in education, in health, in finance. And she's now expanding to streaming platforms. And from online sailing adventures in the Mediterranean to exploring the creative process of composers, she's always on the forefront of innovation. Mari leverages now AI to transform her business operations, and her latest documentary, Blessed Unrest, which I'm blessed to have seen, which is amazing, is currently making waves in the festival circuit. She's earning 5 Best Documentary Awards and numerous honor nominations and selections. I'm going to brag a little bit more. Keep with me over here, because Mari's team has earned an extraordinary collection of trophies. 8 Emmys, a Sundance Award, honors from the International Film Festival circuit, and over 40 Tally Awards, just to name a few. Like, this woman is extraordinary with the accomplishments that she's achieved together with her team. But she's also such a caring and awesome and authentic human being. And I'm so excited for you to experience what she has to share with all of us. The next speaker, please give it up for Mari Bonmaison, the story of a lifetime. The floor is yours.
Friends, close your eyes for just 1 second. I want you to imagine the single person in your life who lights up your entire world when you think about them. Now, see yourself as a kid, your teeny hand holding them tight, the excitement, the anticipation that something's going to happen. I might have been in an airplane, like it was for my dad and me. The engines were roaring, my stomach was fluttering, and together we ascended into the clouds. We were seeing the world shrinking beneath us, just Dad and I. It was a very special moment. No one else knows that. But why am I telling you this story? Because in that moment, you could be recalling the first time somebody showed you the world that was bigger than your backyard. Maybe it wasn't an airplane. Maybe it was the time your mom pointing out on an evening the constellation, or it was your first experience of getting bareback on a big horse and galloping through the forest, smelling the eucalyptus trees. It doesn't matter how big or small that moment was. What matters is how it made you feel. It made you feel alive. Made you feel loved, connected, belonging. Who here could feel this? Let's make this real. Right now, why don't you jump on the chat? Don't hold back, please. Just write what you're feeling, what it's inspiring you. I'm watching. I want to see what you say, what's moving you right now. You see, every family has these defining moments, teeny sparks that if you capture them, become the fuel for the fire that makes your family unstoppable. Now, are some of you probably thinking, Mari, my family's moments are not that special? I say no way. There's no ordinary families, only untold stories. And let me tell you, the most powerful force in your life is not what you own, the banks, the achievements. It's the narrative you created, then you pass along. It's the story that says, we were here, we loved, we fought, we laughed, we survived. Let me be real with you on my own journey. It's marked by both triumph and tragedy. My father's brother committed suicide when he was in MIT. My dad was so upset when he went to try to bury him that he couldn't even remember where he had left him. Later, my grandma took her own life. And my dad, as a young guy, was left to pick up the pieces, and that is how I was raised in Peru. So years later, my daughter, during COVID, a time of chaos and real uncertainty, researched for days, for weeks, until she finally found the forgotten headstone of my uncle. I mean, the grass was all over the place, but I tried to find, and it was right there. That act brought back the place that my dad so desperately, all through my life, he wanted to see and visit. Because pain shapes purpose. Did you hear that? Pain shapes purpose. Your struggles, your hidden scars, those aren't things to run from. They are the foundation upon which you build your family's legacy. Your adversity is your advantage now. So when my dad died of a massive brain hemorrhage in 2004, and there was no advance notice, no nothing like from one day to the other. He was gone, and I was in Peru. But you know what? That gave us the strength in the madness. It's because I had a chance before this happened to film my dad, interview him. And he was telling me stories. But most importantly was his wisdom. That video became the lifeline when this tragedy happened. For my mom, for my dad, for my girls. This event in my life was the inception of Story of a Lifetime. Let's talk about why these stories matter. The real magic of capturing your story is making sure the lessons, the values that you hold dear, the very heartbeat of your parents, grandparents don't get lost. That their wisdom, their love becomes the foundation of your own children, your grandchildren, of where they stand. And let me get personal for one moment. My mom and dad's life was overflowing with highlights. They had an audience with the Pope that blessed my dad's hands as a surgeon, their marriage he blessed. They had a diplomatic wedding in Rome. Dad worked at the Mayo Clinic, great place for orthopedic surgeons. Even my great-grandfather was a hero in Peru, but I won't go there. But do you know that when I was interviewing them, the most important thing they called the most important was not all of those accolades are important or headlines. It was when they met the American missionaries who were living deep in the Amazon rainforest, caring for their own Peruvian indigenous people. And these missionaries didn't do it for the accolades or the recognition, but out of pure selfless love. That was priceless. They were saying they couldn't figure out what was this so special thing that these people had. Out of all of those headlines, yes, it was the missionaries. Imagine the impact of making that wisdom a living, breathing part of your family's movie. Those recording became the heartbeat of my family's history, inspiring story of lifetime, and reminding me that this is a legacy of significance. When I see my dad on the screen, you know, the video that I interviewed him, I pull back of those irreplaceable moments. I see his face, his mannerisms, when he was telling the stories, when he was a rascal. He is larger than life, yes, his presence. That's when I decided, yes, that's what we have to do. I made my mission to help people and families to claim their voice, because legacy, sorry, it's not about what you leave for people, it's what you leave in them. In my professional life, I have interviewed legends like Dr. Maya Angelou, and she shared with me a story of what her grandmother told her when she was having a problem. She asked, "Grandma, what should I do?" And the grandma answered, "Sister, you know what's the right thing to do. Now go do it." Nelson Mandela's I interviewed his grandson. He told me that he wanted to hand down his grandfather's stories and create his own legacy for his children. You think those stories are unique? But guess what? Every single one of you has a story worthy of the world. You see, legacy isn't what's left in your bank account, the companies you made, the lands, the things that are locked away in the safe. Legacy is the message, the mindset, the heart of who you are that echoes for generations. What if you just imagine, really feel this, okay? Someone 5 generations from now who will be looking at this movie, The Story of a Lifetime that you did, and will be captivated for what you're sharing. What if your courage, your empathy, your joy, your adventures could leap through that movie and touch their lives? That is priceless. By knowing the past, we can change the course of the future. Let's share it. So let's make a decision right now. No more waiting for the right time, or I'm too busy, because you know what? Your mom or dad are going to forget. Or your uncle will probably has dementia. So you know what I've been doing now? I've been interviewing my mom for the past couple years so that she will keep those great stories for us. Who here is ready to take an ownership? Don't wait until it's too late. Let's roll the red carpet. Let's rent a movie theater. Invite your family. Let's all sit down and enjoy this story. Because it is about more than remembering the past. It's about shaping the future, the generations that come after you. You have the power right now to create a story of a lifetime that becomes an unbreakable chain linking generations to come. Turn to the person next to you. Say, I have a story of a lifetime. Let's ignite that spark. Let's make your family story remember, but relived. Because the greatest legacy you can leave is not a list of accomplishments, but living, breathing narrative of your love, of your resilience, of what you did in the midst of tragedy. Are you with me? Then let's make some noise. Let's make your story. And I'm going to offer free consultation, okay? 45 minutes. You can link to my Calendly, and we are going to talk for 45 minutes, and I'll help you with the narrative. But we're going to make it easy, we'll make it fun and impactful. So let's go. Thank you.
Let's go. Give it up for Mari, everybody. Give it up for Mari. Mari, how do you feel right now?
Great. Relieved.
Smile. Did I hear someone in the background say smile? You feel relieved?
Relieved, but excited. It just, I said it with my heart, honestly.
Who felt that? Put a yes in the chat. If you felt her heart, if you felt her presence, that you felt this was not like scripted something, like this was her soul speaking. This was her legacy to the world. Big fat yes, yes, such a good heart. Mari, you absolutely crushed it.
Thank
Well done.
you.
I'm
Thanks
so
to
excited
you.
for you to be able to watch yourself back. I think you will be amazed by what you're going to see. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Oi, oi, oi. So many different amazing speakers, and we're not finished. We still have two amazing speakers that in the back end are like, ah! I literally see someone who's like off camera. I'm like, that person is practicing right now, right? We never know what someone is going through. And this is so beautiful that they're able to express their message. And the person that I'm bringing up to the stage right now is someone who has such a professional studio. It's ridiculous. And this person is Rob. Rob is a full-time high-performance coach. He's a real estate investor. He's a business strategist. He's a mentor with passion for helping others achieve financial freedom and personal transformation. What does he not do? I mean, with the career spanning over 30 years in technology as an infrastructure architect, an IT professional, Rob has successfully transitioned his corporate and leadership expertise into real estate investing, where right now he's investing in so many different things. Like since 2001 he has actively invested. Since 2019 he has expanded into commercial real estate, in land development, in innovative verticals like car washes, multifamily housing across multiple states. He and his team are currently owning and managing assets across 6 multifamily properties, 3 car washes, land developments, RV parks, and other commercial ventures. And what he's here to share with us today is not just all of that cool stuff. What he's sharing with us today is something that comes so deeply from his heart that even though he's in his week of moving his house and he's a lot of stuff going on, he's present with us right now because his message is so important to him to share with the world that I'm really, really stoked for you to experience it right now. Please give it up for Rob. The floor is yours, man.
Hello. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. Today, I'm going to talk about the lie we tell ourselves. So, all right, everybody, let's get fired up. Picture this. I'm sitting across from a real estate friend who's got it all. $1 million business, a sharp suit, the kind of confidence that owns the room. I look him in the eyes and I ask him, what's your next big move, Nate? What's the dream burning in your soul? He leans back, flashes a grin, and says, Rob, I'm good. I've got this all figured out. I'm just waiting for the right moment to strike, he nodded. I thought, yeah, you got this, for about a second. Then I watched him hesitating on bold ideas, overthinking decisions until they fizzled, pushing his dreams to someday with excuses like, I need more time, or the timing's not perfect. And it hit me like a thunderbolt. This guy's stuck. Not because he's not a rock star, because he is, but something deeper, something invisible is holding him back. He bought into the biggest lie we all tell ourselves. I'm good enough as is. Who here has told themselves that? Drop it in the chat. I have. Raise your hand, be real. You've thought, I'm already killing it. I don't need to change. But deep down, there's a fire, a spark screaming. You're meant for more. Can you feel it? That energy in your gut that says there's a bigger, bolder, unstoppable you waiting to break free? That is what we're here to unleash today. I'm Rob, a high performance coach, and my mission is to ignite that spark in you. Yes, you, the one who's already winning, already driven. I'm not here to fix you. You're not broken. I'm here to take you from great to unstoppable, from successful to legendary, because you're human and humans are wired to grow, to expand, to shatter what's possible. I've worked with the best CEOs and entrepreneurs, superstars who said, Rob, I don't need a coach. I'm at the top. But every single one of them had change they didn't see. I coached a CEO, a total powerhouse, running a thriving company. She said, my team's winning. My numbers are solid. But we dug deep and boom, her need to control everything was stifling her team's brilliance. She was holding herself back from being the leader she was born to be. Another client of mine, an entrepreneur with a 7-figure business, told me, Rob, I don't need mindset work. I just need better systems. But when we got real, he admitted he was burned out, chasing goals that didn't light his soul anymore. He was running on empty, not passion. And let me get raw with you. I've been there. I used to think, I don't need to work on mindset. I just need to grind harder, win bigger. But late at night, I'd hear that voice. What if you fail, Rob? What if you're not enough? What if you go for it and you crash? Those fears didn't shout, they whispered. They were dressed up as being smart. But they were running my show. Who has felt that whisper? That voice saying, play it safe. Don't look foolish. Drop it in the chat. I have. Say yes. Let's own it. Those whispers are your chains, and today we're breaking them. The moment you face those fears, when you get raw, real, and honest, that's when the magic explodes. That's when breakthroughs happen. For me, owning my fear of failure was lighting a rocket. I stopped playing small. I took risks that scared me to death, and I built deeper connections, chased bolder dreams, and I found a freedom I didn't know existed. My life erupted. Let's do this right now. Close your eyes. Picture your life at its absolute best. Not successful, but unstoppable. Feel it in your core. Are you there right now? Are you living with total clarity, total passion, and total freedom? Or is there a gap, a relentlessness, a dream you've pushed to someday? Open your eyes. If you feel that gap, that is your spark. That is your soul saying, you're not done. You're ready for more. A breakthrough isn't about fixing what's wrong. It's about unleashing what's right. It's waking up every day with fire in your heart, knowing exactly what you want and why. It's moving through fear like nothing, taking action that makes your soul sing. It's leading with power, loving with depth, and living with purpose, not just checking boxes. I've seen it over and over. A tech founder, already a millionaire, thought he hit his limit. We worked together and boom, he realized he was playing small, dodging risks that could have changed the world. Now he's disrupting his industry, living with purpose. Another friend of mine, a working mom juggling a career and a family, felt guilty for wanting more. We unlocked her confidence, and now she's leading at work and at home with a smile that lights up the room. These aren't people who were failing. They were winners, but they chose to believe they could be more. And that choice changed everything. Let me share one more story. A friend came to me, built a multi-million-dollar company from nothing, a legend. He laughed when I mentioned coaching. Rob, I don't need a cheerleader. But he gave it a shot. And a few sessions in, we uncovered the truth. He was so busy proving himself, he'd stopped listening to his team, his family, his own heart. He was winning on the outside, but losing on the inside. We rebuilt his fire. He started leading with heart, reconnecting with his kids, and rediscovering why he started it all. He didn't just grow, he became alive. So if you are thinking, Rob, I can do this alone, I'm smart, I'm driven, and you're right, you are. But listen, every world-class performer has a coach. Michael Jordan had a coach. Beyonce has a coach. Why? Because a coach sees your blind spots, calls out your excuses, and pushes you to act on the spark inside you. They turn someday into today. So here's my challenge. Stop settling. You don't need to be struggling to want more. You just need to believe you can be better than yesterday. And you can. Right now, feel that spark, that fire, that voice saying, there's a bigger life waiting. Can you feel it? Shout it. Yes. Drop a yes in the chat. That's the energy. Working with a coach is about turning that spark into a blaze. It's clarity, knowing your purpose with laser focus. It's courage, taking massive action even when it scares you. It's results, building deeper relationships, leading with unstoppable confidence, chasing your dreams you've buried too long. It's waking up and saying, I'm not just good, I'm extraordinary. Who's ready for a breakthrough? Drop a yes in the chat. I want to see who's ready for a breakthrough. That's it. Let's do this together right now. Let's shatter the lie that you're not good enough. Let's unlock the fearless, unstoppable, legendary you. Because when you break through, the life you're meant for doesn't just start, it roars. Let's make this happen now. Thank you.
Let's go. Who feels pumped because of Rob? Come on now. Put those yeses in the chat. Did you feel his energy? That was incredible. Rob, how do you feel?
I feel good. I feel like I could go another 10 or 20 minutes.
Yes.
I got a lot of energy. Once I started talking, I actually I got less nervous, more energetic, and more pumped, and I think more passionate as I continued to talk.
Yeah. The real audience does something to you, huh? It's beautiful.
Apparently it does.
It does. It really does. Well done. Give it up one more
Thank you.
time for Rob. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. And I think that's a beautiful bridge also to give that energy to the last speaker of today's lineup. A woman who has a lot of knowledge about finances. But that's not where her heart only lies. I'm talking about Rebecca. And Rebecca, she transforms companies into thriving workplaces. And with her CPA background and her HR experience, she knows. She helps organizations hire right. She helps them develop talent through performance management. She builds strong culture of progress. She does it all. And what she's really passionate about is helping people and mentoring people in areas of personal growth and professional growth. And that's what she's done already with over 500 people. Rebecca's also a transformational speaker and a coach, and she's a music enthusiast. She's a world traveler and a future author. Just sprinkling that in over there. Please give it up for Rebecca. Rebecca, the floor is yours. Enjoy.
Hello, esteemed entrepreneurs. So excited to be here today. Constructive feedback is a powerful tool that we as leaders can use and utilize every day, but it's also one of the most feared. I know this because I worked as an HR director for a 750-person firm. And managers and owners of the firm would actually come to me and ask me to deliver simple feedback to the staff, such as you're dressed inappropriately, or you're showing up late to work too often, or you need to brush up on your technical skills, you're following a little bit behind. So in truth, feedback is anxious for us as humans. But what if that fear and anxiety wasn't a warning to turn back, but was actually an invitation to lean in? So I have a story. I just got back from a trip to Africa, and I stayed in this most beautiful resort right in the middle of the Serengeti. And when I first came, the very first day, a baboon actually jumped onto my porch to greet me. While I was, he went to greet me. So as I was settling in that night, I heard a strange noise. And I thought to myself, it sounds like a bat, but I wasn't sure. Well, the resort had these beautiful thatched roofs that were so charming, so gorgeous, but yet the perfect place for creatures to hide. So I didn't see anything, and I thought to myself, being practical, instead of changing rooms, I'll just take a Unisom, knock myself out, put in some earplugs. I'm checking out tomorrow anyway. And in Africa, your beds are covered with cloth and they're surrounded by net that overlaps. So I crawled into bed and I looked around and I saw the netting everywhere, made sure it was closed. And I'm like, I'm safe. I went to bed until 5 a.m. when I was jolted awake by a bat landing on my chest and remaining there. So I did what any calm, cool, collected person would do. And I screamed at the top of my lungs and shimmied out of that net as fast as I could and closed it up so it couldn't escape. But it literally just kept laying there. A few minutes later, I met our safari director, Rogers, in the lobby. And I started peppering him with questions as soon as I saw him. Questions such as, what does a bat sound like? How do you think it got in the netting? Do you think it died on me? Or do you think it was flying around and just got exhausted because there was nothing to hold on to and it just ended up falling on me in exhaustion? Rogers did not answer a single one of my questions. He was in crisis recovery mode. He was arranging for my series of rabies shots. He was calling headquarters to explain what had happened. And he was just trying to brainstorm everything he could to protect me. I guess these things don't happen very often. But being in HR, I'm trained when you are doing something that could create liability. For example, I've been in over 200 terminations. You say as little as possible so that you don't accidentally say something that could be used in a court of law. So Roger's silence, I interpreted as protecting his employer. So I was really hurt. And I end up sitting in the very back of the safari truck the rest of the day, just distancing myself from the situation. Until I remembered that I coach leaders, my clients, literally on an almost daily basis about how important it is to be direct, open, and honest with others in order to promote trust, to promote growth, and cultures of progress. So I thought I really have to address this with Rogers. So reluctantly that night, I asked Rogers if he had a couple of minutes, and I shared with him my thoughts. He was so surprised by how I was feeling. In fact, he apologized right away and just explained that he was more worried about protecting me and figuring out what was next and where he was going to find rabies shots and 2 random faraway locations in Africa. After that apology, he then remedied the situation, proceeded to answer every question that I had. But what surprised me was what he did next. He looked me straight in the eyes and he said, Rebecca, I want to thank you for blessing and trusting me with this conversation. And I thought to myself, wow, what a really big person. Not only did he apologize about a concern I brought to him, but he also remedied it and then thanked me on top of it all. So you're probably wondering, why am I sharing with you a story about a bat landing on me in Africa? And I'll answer. I want to give you a glimpse in what's possible when you provide constructive feedback and what lies on the other side of that fear and anxiety. So today I'd like to share 3 ideas, just 3 small shifts that can transform not only how we think about feedback, but also how we deliver it. Point 1 is feedback is a gift. I think too often we think of feedback as criticism or judging or tearing someone down. But at its core, feedback is giving of your time, your insight, your perspective. How many of you have been offended by someone or someone was acting what could be construed as irrationally, and you thought about talking to them and then you went, nah, it's not worth it, and you moved on? So if someone actually takes the time to share their feedback with you, or if you take the time to share your feedback with them, that means you actually care. You're actually putting effort into the situation. When you're delivering your feedback, you're offering value and growth to the other person, even if it's not wrapped perfectly. When we treat feedback as a gift, we move from fear to courage and from judgment to support and defensiveness to growth. It's not only an exchange of words, it's also an exchange of trust and opportunity for growth. Point 2, from anxiety to excitement. Back in 2014, Harvard did a study, and what the study found was that the gap between calm and anxiety is too far for a human internally to traverse. But the gap between anxiety and excitement is much closer together. So what the study did was it asked participants to do anxiety-inducing tasks such as timed math tests, karaoke, public speaking. And what they did was they asked the participants to say exciting sentences, just 2 or 3, to voice their excitement about what was to come, whether it was the karaoke, the public speaking. And what they found was 17% improvement in their performance. But not only that, they showed up more confident, more credible, more competent. So what I would encourage you, if you're about to deliver feedback, is to say things like, I'm really excited to bless this person and help them grow. I sure am excited that I'm the one that gets to help this person grow and become a better professional. I'm excited to hear their perspective on how this is going so I can learn too. I'm really excited to see where our relationship goes after this, how it's going to strengthen. And then provide your feedback and see if that helps. The last point is serving the other, taking yourself out of it. Most anxiety from feedback comes when we are focusing on ourselves. I wonder how this is going to land. I hope they don't get mad at me. What if they're offended? But feedback isn't about you. It's actually about them. So when you come from a place of service, the focus shifts. So instead of wondering all of those things that I said earlier, say something like, I'm excited. I'm excited to help them grow and be stronger. And don't worry about how you look, because really feedback is an act of service. Now, I don't want this to be just an inspiring exercise. I actually want this to be practical. So I would like each of you to think of one person that you've been putting off a conversation with, that you could provide some constructive feedback or share something that they've done that might have upset you. Do you have that one person? Great. Now I'd like you to write down the one thing that you would like to share with them, whatever that might be. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how do I do this? Well, I'm going to share a method that I love. It's called the sugar sandwich. So what you do is first you start with a piece of sugar, something I usually think of that I admire or really love about that person. So I start the conversation. I really love how you always play full out and you come from your heart and you're super authentic. Next, you add the piece of feedback. It's important that you keep the feedback very succinct and clear. Sometimes when we get nervous, we'll go in circles and repeat the offense over and over again, which just kind of keeps slapping them in the face. So think of what you want to say, make it really clear, but also short. After you deliver the feedback, listen to their response. If they don't have a response, then ask for one, so you can hear their perspective as well. Feedback is not a monologue. It is a dialogue when it's healthy. Last, you add the last piece of sugar, and that can be a simple smile, a hug if appropriate, a voice of affirmation, thanking them for their perspective or agreeing with them. Just something to affirm the relationship after the feedback has been given. So in closing, feedback is a great growth opportunity for leaders, a way to promote culture, promote direct, open, and honest communication. And when done correctly, if everyone feels open to give feedback, you're pushing your culture into growth and progress. So remember, the feedback is a gift. From anxiety to excitement, and taking yourself out of it and serving others. Good luck, everybody.
Let's go. We're down to implementation. Well done, Rebecca. How was it for you to deliver all of this?
You know, it's interesting because I was nervous at first. Like, this, I can't believe I couldn't remember my story. And I wasn't expecting to be nervous. In fact, I haven't been nervous all morning until that moment. But then once I like, what are you doing? And then I just moved on. But it's a good exercise just to go through that and learn how to just kind of push through the nerves and move on.
Yeah, that's so powerful. It's so powerful how you language it as well, because those feelings come up in a different way than when you practice it. So by you getting that comfortability in your body, knowing and upgrading as we speak, like that's what this is all about. Yeah. So absolutely amazing. Please put in the chat like a nice comment for Rebecca as well, because all of the speakers will be able to watch this afterwards. So Rebecca, well done. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job for all the speakers. And good job for all the participants. We've been looking at the chat and you really made it easy, fun, and impactful. Look at this. Like we have to scroll through it like crazy just to see all of it. And to wrap it up, I really want to encourage you to not just be inspired. Like this is not called inspirational speaking. This is called transformational speaking with a reason. Transformation is when you're able to apply stuff that you learn into your own life that now manifests in results. So who's up for implementing what you learned today? Put a yes in the chat, and the speakers, please do that as well, right? Are you committed to do something with what you've learned? Yes, nice, Rob. Right? Everyone did amazing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, for everybody watching, I hope you had an incredible experience. Feel free to share it with us in the email, or maybe you want to create a post on social media expressing what you've experienced. For everybody that has been speaking and for everybody who's active in the Public Speaking Academy, together we're going to evaluate this in the Zoom room that we always go through every single week. And for everybody who's inspired on your own journey, on this page, you will find some links, some other trainings that you can click on and watch yourself. You've been all playing full out. You're appreciated, and you have a message that the world needs to hear. Ciao for now. And for everybody who's speaking and in the Public Speaking Academy, we'll see each other in the other room. Ciao, ciao.